Hey T-Bolts, it's Mr. Daly from the College and Career Center. And in this video, I'm going to introduce to you the FAFSA, which is the free application for federal student aid. In short, the FAFSA is how you can apply for free money for college. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, what can the FAFSA do for you when it comes to paying for college? So the FAFSA can help you get different types of funding to help you pay for the cost of your school. They can offer grants to you, which are free money from the government. There's something called the Pell Grant. That is from the U.S. Department of Education. There is the MAP grant, which is from the state of Illinois. So that's from the state of Illinois. And schools might even be able to give out additional scholarships based on your FAFSA results. So the FAFSA is the easy way to apply for all of those things. Now, what else can the FAFSA do for you? It can also offer you work study, which is where you work on campus at college, and the money that you would get paid for that work can be used to cover the cost of your educational expenses. Also, the FAFSA can help give you loans. Now, loans are a last resort, I always remind students, but I will say in comparison to other types of loans, the loans offered through the FAFSA have low interest rates and flexible repayment plans. And every student, regardless of your parents' income, will qualify for at least $5,500 in loans. Now, you'll notice that the first three examples are in blue and the last two are in red. And that is because the first three are free money with no payback necessary. The two others have some sort of responsibility or repayment. So loans need to be repaid, and work study, you obviously need to show up to work. If you get one of those positions, you have to show up to work to earn the pay, just as you would like a job. Here are some fast facts about the FAFSA. So one, it's free. Also, it comes out October 1st. Some schools, meaning colleges, require it. It's all online, so you don't have to fill out any paperwork, so it's accessible even in remote settings. It can be applied to 2-year schools like Moraine, 4-year schools like DePaul, and even trade schools like Illinois Welding School. At the end of your FAFSA, you will get what is called an EFC, and it's going to be a 6-digit number. That stands for your expected family contribution, and that basically means how much they believe your family can put into your college expenses. Obviously, the lower that EFC is, the more aid you will qualify for, because if they don't believe your family can put anything into college, so if you get an EFC of 0, that means you will qualify for some of those grants I talked about in previous slides. Also, some money is first come, first serve. So the state money, the MAP grant, does not typically last all year. So sometimes it suspends in February, March, April. So you really want to make sure you fill out your FAFSA in a timely fashion. Now, what information do you need to complete the FAFSA? So you will need your social security number or alien registration number. You will also need your 2019 federal tax returns. And your parents, obviously, actually more of the parents. You will also need your family's 2019 federal tax returns. So tax returns for you if you filed, but definitely for your parents if they filed. You also might need bank statements, records of investment, if your families own any stocks, bonds, investment real estate. They might want to have those handy so they can report those appropriately. If they have any other untaxed income that they have, they can report that. You will also need an FSA ID, which stands for your Federal Student Aid ID. You and one of your parents will both need to have those. That is like your login for the FAFSA. So at the very end of the FAFSA, you will need to electronically sign the FAFSA with both your e-signature and your parents' e-signature as well. The FSA ID can actually be created at any time. So whereas the FAFSA comes out October 1st, the FSA ID you could create today if you want. And then you'll also need a list of colleges you plan to apply to. You need to make sure to report those appropriately. So first you need to create the FSA ID. Then in the FAFSA, you will go through the student demographics. So they will ask about where you live and your email and your phone number and how many people live in your household, things of that nature. Then they will ask for school selection. So they will ask what schools would you like to send your FAFSA results to. That would be any school you plan on applying to. Even if you haven't applied yet, you can still include them. Then you'll need to answer a series of questions to determine if you are an independent student or a dependent student. And in short, the government has rules about who is independent and who is dependent. So people such as parents are independent, people who are in the foster care system, military veterans, those people are independent. But they will ask you a series of questions to determine if you are independent or dependent. If you are dependent, you will have to provide parent information, such as tax information, contact information, things of that nature. If you are not dependent and you are deemed independent for FAFSA purposes, you will skip that part and they will go straight to your financial information. At the end, they will have you review, sign, and submit, and then you will get a confirmation page to your email. Now, what do you do after the FAFSA? Well, one, you want to check the status of your FAFSA. Was it processed successfully? After a few days, it should. But double check that because sometimes the smallest of errors can cause issues. Also, review your student aid report. So when you fill out the FAFSA, you will also have a student aid report. It's kind of like a receipt of what you filled out. You can hang on to that for records purposes. Also, you need to prepare for verification. So colleges run a system called verification where they will sometimes make you fill out additional forms to verify that the information you put on the FAFSA is correct. So as silly as it might sound, some colleges, let's say DePaul, DePaul might not do this, but DePaul might send you a form where you have to list your name, your email, your phone number, and then you have to list like how many people live in your household, and then you have to list those people. Okay, they will want to verify that. Or they might ask for tax proof of taxes, things of that nature. And then you'll also want to compare award letters and offers. So when you start to get those, you'll probably start getting those in February. You'll want to compare and contrast to see who is giving you the best offer. Common mistakes. Double and triple check things like social security numbers, birth dates, incomes, etc. The difference between $10,000 and $100,000 is pretty big, and it's easy to accidentally enter a zero. Sometimes FAFSA questions will give you the option of yes, no, or don't know. Just so you know, don't know means no. So, for the purposes of the FAFSA. So if they ask you, would you like to be considered for work study? If you say don't know, they will not consider you for that. So I always tell students, try to not select those. If you have questions about whether you should or should not be considered for something, check with me or your counselor or your parents to make that yes or no decision. For dependent students, you must submit parent information. There's no way around that. Please don't forget to add all of your schools. Selective service, or the draft, is required for males ages 18 to 25. Please note, this is not enlisting in the military. This is simply the law that all males 18 years of age, between 18 and 25, have to register in case we were ever needed. But that is not military enlistment. Not sure what terms mean. Things like a preparer, a legal guardianship, a resident. Not sure what those mean. Ask. It's okay to not know what these things mean, but please ask before you assume. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself in the College and Career Center, your counselor. We work with the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. They offer assistance. This is very important information, because this year, for the first time ever, the FAFSA is a graduation requirement. So it's very important that you fill out the FAFSA and fill it out correctly. But as always, feel free to reach out if you need help.